Thank you so much for coming to my presentation. My name is Caroline Fleming, and I am an urban trainee and a PhD candidate in the Roach and Marine Ecology Lab. I did my internship this summer with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, which is part of the U.S. Federal Department of Commerce, specifically at the Northeast Fisheries Science Center out on Cape Cod. And my project is titled Understanding the Impacts of Water Quality on Menhaden Presence in Narragansett Bay. And so by way of background, menhaden are a small bait fish, kind of like herring or sardines. And they're really, really important commercially. They're used as fish meal, which is used for all kinds of pet food and fertilizers. And they're also used in fish oil supplements and medications such as that. And importantly, they're used as bait for the lobster fishery, which is really common up here in the Northeast. They're the largest fishery by volume on the East Coast and valued at over $50 million. And really importantly, they develop in estuaries. And so they actually go from being larvae all the way up to juveniles and even adults in protected areas up and down the East Coast in estuaries. One estuary that they like to hang out in is Narragansett Bay. Narragansett Bay, which is downstream from Providence, Rhode Island, a major urban center in the Northeast, is an urban estuary. And because it's an urban estuary, it has an established history of nutrient pollution, nitrogen pollution, and phosphorus pollution that can lead to hypoxic conditions. Mostly pollution that comes from industrial sources and wastewater treatment can cause algal blooms that can really choke out the oxygen and cause hypoxic conditions in this bay. And you can see that the more northern parts of the bay that are lighting up red on the map to the right here are going to be more likely to experience those hypoxic conditions. Importantly, Narragansett Bay has an active menhaden fishery, and also there was a really large fish kill in 2003 of menhaden that was caused by these hypoxic conditions that I've been mentioning. So we know that menhaden are here in this estuary, and we know that this estuary is impacted by urban conditions, and that can cause hypoxic events, which kill the fish. Okay, and so the question that we were asking with this project is, how do hypoxic events impact the presence of menhaden in Narragansett Bay? And so what we did was we took two data sets. One from the number of hypoxic days from water quality buoy data around Narragansett Bay, and we paired that data with data from the Department of Environmental Management from Rhode Island that uses helicopter and small aircraft spotter pilots that take images and record the number of menhaden schools all around the bay in these areas of the bay numbered that you can see here on the screen, with those northern areas more urbanized and closer to Providence, Rhode Island. Okay, so we have our water quality data and we have the number of schools of fish, which we're using as the presence and abundance data for our fish. So what we found is that menhaden actually favor the more urbanized areas of the bay. We found that in Area 1, which is closest to Providence, Rhode Island, and the most urbanized, had the most number of schools of menhaden. Unfortunately, we also found that areas of the bay that were more likely to experience hypoxic conditions were those more urbanized areas. And so the fish really like to hang out in areas that are pretty hypoxic, which calls into question a lot of the ability for this fishery to be able to get high quality fish in this area, depending on the water quality that it experiences. And so basically what we wanted to do is we want to work with stakeholders, including the fishermen, to develop predictive statistical models. Basically, based on the water quality measurements that we're seeing, can we predict whether or not there will be menhaden in the bay, to what extent, and whether or not they will be healthy? So can these water quality metrics inform the opening of the menhaden fishery in Narragansett Bay? And I want to thank so many people, including my mentors at NOAA, Kim, Scott, and Laurel, who have been really, really helpful throughout this whole process. My advisors at BU, support from BU Urban, Connor McManus at the Department of Environmental Management for helping me with the menhaden data, University of Rhode Island for sharing their data and expertise in this system, and the support of my lab for being able to conduct this over the summer. It has been really, really great and an awesome learning experience. Thank you so much.